Today we're talking about King Alum Antle pleading guilty to trafficking and laundering, Megan Fox's memoir and how she discusses being in an abusive relationship with high-profile people, Adidas has been stuck with roughly $300 million worth of Kanye shoes after the breakup, and more, all in today's episode of The Insight Hour. What is up, Internet? So, I had to travel a lot this week, and just a lot of driving. Made me tired. I don't know what to say. Sorry. My bad. But I'm back! And of course, there was some stuff I wanted to talk about. So make sure you're subscribed so you never miss a news update, and let's get right to it.
Today's first headline brings us to a surprising plea in the legal saga surrounding Tiger King alumni, Bhagavan Doc Antle. Antle has pleaded guilty to wildlife trafficking and money laundering, a stark pivot from his public conservationist persona.
Well, folks, it seems Dr. Bhagavan Antle, a man whose mane could give Scar a run for his hyena snack, has decided to come clean to the authorities. And to absolutely everyone's surprise, and I mean, no one could have predicted this, but as it turns out, he was trading endangered animals like trading cards at a schoolyard the whole time. I know, I didn't see it coming either. And his money laundering scheme? About as subtle as, well, a tiger at a petting zoo. Good old Doc was taking a 15% cut of all the cash he cleaned, which I'm sure was meant to buy catnip and other supplies for all the big kitties. Yeah, definitely not. Like, this man was a crooking type of thief. I mean, to be honest, we all figured this out just by watching Tiger King, right? Like, at least I feel the internet collectively knew something was up with this man. Now, Doc's looking at a 5-year, all-inclusive stay at the Iron Bar Inn. Plenty of time to figure out if Cheetah can really change its spots. It is kind of interesting how mainstream media and the dark underbelly of wildlife trafficking met on this one, though. I mean, I sort of thought SeaWorld was the only place where animal lives became dollar signs and conservation plays second fiddle to profits, but looks like I was wrong. And seriously, when it comes to animal captivity, the lines between conservation and exploitation are kind of blurry. But Doc? Yeah, he definitely overshot the line on this one. Now let's sink our teeth into the meat of this ethical debate. On one paw, places like Myrtle Beach Safari let people get nose to nose with creatures they'd only see on National Geographics or the internet. Kind of gets more people interested in conservation itself, right? But on the other paw, when you're illegally trading the wildlife star of the show, you gotta wonder if it's education or just a fat paycheck. It's all about the money. And the media hype thing, that, they kind of help these guys become celebrities, no? I mean, we're at fault too, because I watched both seasons. I'm to blame here. Tiger King kind of threw us all in the deep end of big cats and bigger personalities. And so obviously I'm wondering, like, are we fueling the exotic animal fire? I mean, if we want to see it, they'll provide it. Supply and demand. Capitalism. So as we dissect the glamorization of creatures in captivity, we just got to remember to take like a hard look in the mirror. Where exactly do we draw the line? How do we make sure we know the difference between animal activism and animal reality TV moving forward? As viewers, consumers, and humans, we have a responsibility to look beyond the headlines and ask ourselves, is this entertainment or exploitation masquerading as education? I mean, there was the Ringling Brothers that was education, but I mean, there's a reason it's not around anymore. But it did get a movie, and that movie, super underrated. Fantastic. Wolverine can sing. Oh, and yeah, lastly, are we okay with the exploitation or not?
Megan Fox has opened up about her past experiences with abuse in relationships with very famous people. In her new poetry book, Pretty Boys Are Poisonous, she discusses these toxic relationships and the psychological toll they've taken. Fox shared in an interview with Good Morning America that she has endured at least one physically abusive relationship and several psychologically abusive ones. She also touched on the challenges of sharing such personal experiences as a public figure.
Alright, so in her newly released memoir, Megan came forward with some disturbing revelations about experiencing horrific abuse and manipulation by unnamed famous and powerful men during her time in Hollywood. While not explicitly identifying her abusers, she hints that there were traumatic abusive relationships and occurrences beyond what the tabloid media was able to uncover and report on over the years. Now, before her engagement to Machine Gun Kelly, Fox was married to fellow actor Brian Austin Green, with whom she shares 3 children. She was also at one point romantically linked to Shia LaBeouf, her co-star from the Transformers series, for a period of time. Now, it's important to highlight that Fox hasn't outright specified which past relationships or encounters may have involved the abusive behavior she allures to in the book. By protecting the identity, she avoids potential legal issues and keeps the focus on her own stories. Fox gets candid and vulnerable with some unpublished poems included in the memoir, depicting vivid, chilling scenes of domestic violence, manipulation, and coercion. She states that her purpose isn't merely for shock or sensationalism, but rather that she hopes to find growth, empowerment, and healing by bringing the painful experiences to light. Fox frames sharing these truths by turning turning hardships into strength and a battlefield into a garden, finding beauty and hope from adversity. And at least that's something we can all respect. It also highlights the immense power of speaking one's truth to uplift and empower survivors, enact positive change, and prevent further harm. Which I know, no one else has been brave enough to say those exact words. So you're welcome, internet. I am a hero. Obviously, I'm joking, but... Anyways, Fox seems to have found her own light amidst the darkness, being heavily supported by her now fiancé. Her memoir sends a message of optimism for the future, one where the shame of stigma and abuse can be conquered by the voices rising in union. Overall, Fox's revelations open dialogue on the cycles of exploitation and misconduct, which are still clearly running unchecked in Hollywood. There's likely a bunch more abusive and exploitative behavior happening behind the scenes that we just don't know about. And I bet you it's because of one of several factors. Power dynamics. Predators often target less established performers that leverage their status in Hollywood to silence or coerce their victims. Retaliations of fear. Victims rightfully fear being blacklisted if they speak out against influential figures, potentially losing their career opportunities moving forward. Like it or not, there's still a stigma around admitting vulnerability or being attached to an abusive situation, especially for public figures trying to uphold an image. Lack of accountability. Industry structures have allowed patterns of abuse to persist without repercussions for decades. A cultural shift is still needed to clear up that entire mess. Confidentiality. Strict NDAs and confidentiality clauses are often used to prohibit victims from sharing their stories publicly. In other words, speak up and I will sue you into oblivion. The Me Too movement made strides in disrupting these cycles, but lasting change is still a work in progress. Entire systems need re-examining to address root causes. Each voice that comes forward chips away at stigma and sheds light on the reality behind the facade, but it does take immense courage to be a trailblazer in that regard. So while progress has been made, real change requires continually evaluating evolving processes and mindsets. From addressing workplace harassment to reconsidering the very structures that allow such toxicity to infect an industry in the first place.
In the world of high-stakes fashion and branding, Adidas has reached a crossroads with its Yeezy shoe line. The shoe brand is contemplating a write-off of the remaining unsold Yeezy inventory, valued at 300 million euros.
Well, it's official. Adidas and Yee have called it quits, and Adidas seems to have gotten custody of the whole closet of Yeezys in the breakup. We're talking 300 million euros worth of kicks just sitting in storage. It's around 321 million USD if you needed the conversion. Now Adidas has got to figure out what to do with their ex's designer shoes taking up all that space. On the one hand, Adidas has already sold some of the Yeezys and donated the profits to organizations fighting anti-Semitism, taking recent lemons and making some socially conscious lemonade. Not bad. But they've still got enough sneakers left to supply an entire country, so... And now Adidas faces a dilemma. Release the Yeezys and keep donating the proceeds? Or take the inventory hit and lock them away for good? See, brand partnerships are a delicate acting balance. Not that I would know, I don't have one. Yet. You've got your brand reputation on one end, your celebrity spokesman on the other, and this thing called public opinion swaying in the middle. When that celeb does or says some stupid shit, the brand has to decide whether they're gonna cover for them, sever ties, or somehow go with the flow and hope they stick the landing. Adidas has their image to consider, and reputation is everything in business. It's like your credit score when you're asking the bank for a loan. So do they release the Yeezys, turning PR poison into charitable honey, or swallow the cost? Right off the inventory and moved on scrub clean. It's an ethical gymnastics routine because this particular case isn't just about money. It's kind of about messaging. The man was out there saying some bad stuff. Because what does it say about a brand if they stick by a polarizing star through thick and thin? And what if they cut ties? Like, is that more honorable? Brands today have to balance social responsibility with finances. Today's consumers notice values behind the valuable. So companies like Adidas have to weigh their cost of doing business versus doing good. And that's one tricky fucking balancing act.
Apple has recently settled for $25 million over allegations of discriminatory hiring practices. This settlement, addressing issues from 2018 and 2019.
Well, folks, it seems our dear friends at Apple have found themselves in a bit of a pickle. Now, that $25 million went to settle accusations that they favored some immigrant workers over equally qualified American candidates, and vice versa, but only whenever it suited them. And remember that's important to all of this. It appears they tried to balance diversity and profits, but wound up dropping the ball on both counts. And of course, Apple maintains their innocence. They claim it was all an unintentional blunder, like when you accidentally eat your roommate's last piece of cake. An honest mistake, perhaps, but the cake still got eaten. Did it not? Now, $18.25 million of that settlement money is going into a fund to compensate the alleged victims of the questionable hiring practices. You know, this seems to be a trend lately. Big corporations flaunting fancy badges of wokeness and virtue, making statements about how diversity in the workplace is supporting various social causes. It's like they're wearing this progressive makeup, looking quite elegant and enlightened on the surface. But then, boom, a scandal like this Apple debacle comes to light. It's as if their makeup has been wiped away. We suddenly see what lies underneath isn't always so noble. It's like discovering your health guru has been binging on Twinkies this whole time. Don't get me wrong, it's good when prominent companies use their platforms to champion important social issues. But when their actions fail to meet their talk, it just becomes problematic and it reeks of hypocrisy. Like, hey, look how diverse we are here. Just don't let anyone know it's because colored people are cheaper and they make us look good. Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that. So, what gives? Are these empty platitudes meant to pacify the public or genuine commitments gone awry? Hard to say. It's not hard. They only care about their bottom line, not us. On one hand, the rhetoric does draw attention to societal problems. It's hardly helpful. On the other hand, if it's just posturing without resolve, like it's hardly helpful. Sort of just applying a band-aid on a broken leg. My opinion, it's all corporate virtue signaling, like using social causes as marketing tools without any semblance of actual dedication to change. The status quo is going pretty good for them. Why would they want to change it? For now, Apple devotees, let's hope this lawsuit helps your beloved company restore integrity and decency to their hiring process. Unless it makes them look good. Then fuck your morals, son!
Our final story focuses on a pressing concern as winter approaches: the risk of our power grid buckling under the strain of increased demand and extreme weather conditions.
Oh my god! Winter is actually coming. And there's a major concern. Again, for our nation's aging power grids. Picture this chilling scenario with me for a second, if you will. It's colder than a White Walker stare outside, so you crank up the heat. And just as you're finally starting to feel toasty, oh no, the power abruptly went out. And so did your warmth. Yeah, so in practice, when frigid weather hits, everyone does fire up their space heaters and blast furnaces simultaneously. From this mass use, our overworked grid starts straining. Understandably so. She's an old gal. You need to be gentle. She can't handle that intensity you youngins are trying to thrust up on her. So how do we bulk up and winterize our power grids for the next polar vortex? You know, think of it like reinforcing your house before a blizzard. Better to batten down the hatches in advance. Well, first off, our infrastructure needs some anti-aging treatments. Think high-tech makeovers and extreme weatherproofing. Renewables like wind and solar can provide some extra muscle when needed, which investments into a massive wind farm were recently approved, so it looks like we might be heading in that direction. Energy storage solutions could be like massive batteries to stock away when we need some excess juice for a stormy day. Bars. Just like staying active. Keeping supply and demand balanced and upgrading to smart grids could help us boost grid resilience. With proper preparation and training, our grids can become winter soldiers, ready to withstand anything King's about to throw his way. Unless the MCU continues to suck, which, I don't know. Loki was good though. Should we discuss? And on that literal chilling note, we're gonna call it. I hope you have a wonderful 3-day weekend planned. And until next time, stay weird, stay safe, and I will see you, well, soon. I'll see you soon.